scene is set a few miles north of the city of Stazanobi, located somewhat near the road, but far enough back into the forest to be like unnoticed by most travelers, and not far enough in to be, absolutely have a new one ripped by Geosius. Is a large collection of red and orange and purple and gold tents and caravans and painted wagons and horses, and campfires and just a whole slew of unkempt gypsy folk, except for some of like the pretty ladies. Unkempt gypsy men, and a bunch of gypsy ladies playing music and cavorting about in the nighttime. This is, of course, the camp of the Ravnos, who have recently been making their home near Stazanobi. Two figures, one being the Nordic mystic Ragnar, and the other being Amrit Anish Anupam of Paramara, of the Brahmin caste of the Ravnos, make their way through the camp, past all the celebrants, towards a large black and red tent with two hooded men outside. And the tall Indian Cainite bends down and grabs a corner of the flap and pulls it up with a flourish over his head and extends his hand inwards, where you can see inside. There's just a whole bunch of candles on tables around the entire perimeter of the room, and two like mats on the floor, and in between the mats a small like handmade wooden table with an incense thing and some sort of vase looking contraption with hoses sticking out of it. Please come inside. Warm yourself by the fire.
Yeah, Ragnar will come in, and he'll set his staff down, knowing that it has no fear of catching anything on fire, as the flame only produces light, not heat, and only reacts in the presence of certain things.
Amrit will just kind of like let go of his staff as he walks in, and it just stands straight up in the ground, not even dug into the ground, just somehow stands up. And he sits down on one of the mats, and taking a pair of tongs, he picks up a coal, holds it over a table with the candles on it, flipping it back and forth in his hands till the coal is, burning red, and puts it on top of this vase-looking thing, and grabs one of the hoses and breathes deeply out of it.
Ragnar will watch it. I mean, he's never seen anyone smoke from a hookah.
He blows out a ring of smoke, and then with almost like a whistling sound, he blows like a wispy trail of smoke that goes into the ring and then hooks back around and kind of like touches its own tail to create two interlocking rings they just spin through the air and eventually hit the side of the tent.
It's more comfy when it's clean.
And dissipate. Would you like to have a seat?
Ragnar will fold his body down into a seated position. It's similar to his Indian friends. He has one knee cocked up and one sideways, and he kind of leans forward on his knee.
I have prayed to the god Agne for a confederate which I could deal with in the matters of these strange portents of recent nights. And I received from him many times a vision of a man with hair similar to yours who was able to walk through the fire. Word has reached my ear that you are a Canaanite with no fear of fire comparable to my own. And he reaches his hands out to the sides and just kind of hovers them over the fire. If I am to trust you with the knowledge I am about to impart, I must be certain that this is not mere hearsay. I would ask that you would submit to a small display.
Ragnar will shrug, and he'll reach in and he'll reach. You said there were coals and fire. He'll reach into the fire and hold coals in his hand, and then open it up. Just tell me how much damage I'm rolling or whatever.
Okay. Just roll against 3, I guess.
All right, I'll spend a couple blood and be 7 dice.
Okay. All right, you so get smoke rises off your hands and your palms blacken from the soot of the coals, but they don't really burn you. And he nods.
I'll drop it back in and then kind of just dust this off my hands.
You are as fearless as they say. The man who you seek, what do you know of him?
I know that he is a child of Hakim himself, the Assamite progenitor, and that he was somehow tainted and seeks to destroy all. His first attempt was in the Hatzag domain. And for some reason, he turned his efforts here. His eye has drifted this way, and I am here now to put an end.
He was once a denizen of the first city. You understand?
Ragnar will nod slightly.
I believe that his power is growing. Along my travels from the east, I came through the mountain range and saw campfires burning as far as the eye could see. I thought at first it was a vision for me from Agnea, so I followed the fires, and what I found were only the blackest rituals, and the darkest hearted people, if people they can be called, I have ever seen. They were not Canaanites and they were not demons, but they were not altogether human, and they certainly were not the wolves.
Yeah, Ragnar nods. Yes, I saw. I've seen his work. He's turned mortals into more and turned them very wicked. Are they the mountains here, or were they mountains elsewhere?
Mountains points over towards where the chantry is, way across the province.
God damn,
those mountains.
Oh no. I'd hoped to get here before he was so entrenched and had started his new plans. Oh.
I do not believe that he is working alone. I think that he has sired a new batch of children and has had them corrupted by the demons themselves?
I've defeated one of the demons, I guess, that he had sent, perhaps. Its flesh was unlike anything I'd ever had to fight against. And its minions were weak and terrified, but it itself was massive. I'd never fought anything like it.
Yes. I believe he intends to use the high concentration of sorcerers in these lands to fuel some sort of apocalyptic event where he intends to rend the space between our realm and theirs, and will consume the world with darkness. This is very distressing.
I feel as though it may have. I feel as though this has something to do with the stones.
The stones.
Ragnar will take the rough map that he had gotten, and he will splay it out, and then point here are some very powerful and old stones that no one knows the exact nature of. They are said to have great power. Oh, the ones.
I know, right?
But it's still good. Actually, it's not that bad of a roll, even with the ones. Got
Right,
2
so you got
successes.
3 successes.
Yeah.
Or 2. No, yeah, it's 3
Yeah,
because
it's 3,
we
yeah.
diff 5.
Yeah.
Anyway, he looks at it for a second and he scrutinizes the map. Says, yes, this. I don't know what an Indian person would call a ley line, but I guess it would be like a connecting line of some kind of chakra connecting line.
Yeah. Point of elemental chakra, maybe.
Yes, this is forged over a point of elemental chakra.
Yes, I felt
Given
as though
its
that.
proximity to the mountains and the rivers, it might either be an earth-aligned chakra or perhaps water.
Yes, this may be where 2 or more chakras meet, given its location. So, a focus point of energy where things cross.
Yes, this is my theory from what you have showed me, but I would need to see to the area myself and meditate there.
I would need time to secure the area for you. The wolves there are dangerous. They don't go near those stones, but getting there could prove a little difficult. And then once we get there, from what I understand, there is someone or something there that guards it personally.
He reaches his hand over to the side. And his staff, his staff comes rocketing towards his hand, and he catches it and slams it down with a loud thud. And it actually cracks the ground under where he slammed it. Says, the Guardian will not be a problem.
Ragnar will shrug and continue listening.
On a mission for Magnea. As this man wishes to see the world consumed with darkness, I wish to see it consumed with her cleansing light. And usher in a new era of rebirth. One that I think you and I, and he taps, or he reaches a finger forward towards your chest and taps on the front of your garments or whatever, where you have the things hanging around your neck. And I believe the mother would also approve of.
I agree.
I know that you are skilled with manipulating fate. I am unfamiliar with the powers you possess of divinity from the north, but they seem to closely mirror my own. Would you care to explain to me?
Um, Ragnar has like several pouches around, his waist, and he'll pick up one and he'll reach into a sack that he carries at his waist and pulls out a bowl and he'll put
Oh
it in
yeah.
there. Um, every time my divination, every time I do my divination, it requires a sacrifice of blood. But these runes are empowered, and they each have a name. And when they come together, uh, where they fall is important, and what they say is important, and it gives me insights and sets my mind free of my trappings to show me what I need to know.
Ah, perhaps one day I will teach you to tap into the cosmic dharma. He like reaches up towards the sky and wiggles his fingers in exchange for you showing me how to throw these stones.
It would be an experience, brother. Now I think we should gather our insight. And Ragnar will put a trait of his own blood in, and then a few drops of Anoya's blood from the vial, as he feels that this is particularly important casting. And he'll try to, I have like 3 specifications, and you can kind of decide what I get out of these.
Okay.
He's looking for like enemies, allies, and then he's looking for this, and this is all in regards to him. We're enemies of his in regards to this infernalism, allies of his in regards to this infernalism, and any locations of importance. So he might, or he already thinks he knows one, but this should confirm it, and theoretically he may learn like other spots, whether he needs to control them or go destroy them, whatever.
Okay, how many dice am I rolling?
This is a manipulation roll, so that's 5. Spec for donation plus his empathy of 3, so that's 8 dice. 10s explode.
All right, I'm gonna give it a -1 difficulty because of the Anoya blood.
Okay.
All right, got 4 successes. So, you see, I have a vision, I suppose, of red flames coming down the river from the mountains. You see them traveling along the river until they reach a city with a castle that breathes. And then they consume that city and begin to consume the forest around it. And you just see like an eagle eye view of the forest just getting more and more and more and more engulfed with flames, and it like makes your heart hurt a little bit. And then you see a vision of, I guess, many crows flying down from the north, and with them a strong, like, wintry gust that's created by their beating wings, and they beat back the fire into the mountains. And as they beat it back, the forest like seems to not be burned. And then right in the mountain area, you see basically all of the mountains start to grow, and all of the ones on one side grow into like these tall, jagged, dark spires, and the other ones on the other side grow into basically like very uniform columns of bright white luminous stone, and right at the center of the two where they meet, there is there's like a converging point where, in kind of like a spiral, the white and black columns mix and just create like a black and white patterned spiral, and that's what you get.
Okay. I think I kind of get what's going on with a lot of this, so I'd like to perhaps enigmas, maybe wits enigmas or something.
Yeah, sure.
And that's 1, 2, 3, 4 dice wits enigmas for interpretation on the spiral and the mountains.
Okay. Got 1 success.
Sure. So either one or the other, or a piece, or the spiral, or
you know that the Garou use that symbol for the worm and worm tainted things.
Right. Oh man, so it'd be like probably like he's got bad wolves up there, and there's good wolves, and he's tainting them. Damn. Well, that'll be important. So yeah, Ragnar kind of like, he casts his stones, and he looks at them for a minute, and then he'll grip the table, and his eyes will go white, and he grips the table hard and like doesn't move for a while, and then he'll come out, and he will carefully relay the vision to his ally. I see fire coming from the mountains, and it consumes the town to the north of this one, I believe, and he consumes the fire around it. But then we have crows come from the north, and the crows can beat back the fire and save the forest if we can reach out to them. And the fire recedes back into the mountains, and then there are jagged, dark peaks, and there are stone columns. The mountains are divided by 2. And then in between the 2, there's a dark spiral that I believe has to do with tainted wolves, or wolves being tainted in the middle of the 2. And so I believe that the wolves will carry a great part in our upcoming struggle. And I believe that the mountains are indeed, I did not doubt your word, but the mountains indeed have the tainted ones in them. But more than the tainted ones, there are probably also tainted wolves there amongst the tainted vampires. So they already have a head start on what we will have to do, which is negotiate with all things for the common good.
He has just like a very stone expression on his face. He's like slightly frowning, and he nods and like basically presses his fingers into the bridge of his nose, like on either side of his eyes, and he says, "I had received also portents pointing to your kinship with the wolves, particularly those," points like just vaguely north, from the north, where I have never been and never seen these types. What is exactly your relationship with the wolves?
North, I had a reputation of being a man to be sought after for knowledge, and an honorable one amongst the wolves, and so I was treated as their own. My name does me some good here, but it is not the same as it was in the north, and I will need to do much to get them to understand that there is a war greater than fighting just the vampires that exist here.
I bid you then, if you will, to speak to the wolves and tell them of your vision. And see, I will speak to Janaki, for some of his family are evidently on at least peaceful terms with some of the wolves. I can see if perhaps they will put your name to their ears. And once they have, I would ask that you go and speak with the wolves and tell them of your vision and see if you can garner any assistance, because if he is indeed corrupting the wolves as he is corrupting the people, I do not know if any amount of military force or even faith in the Christian God, or he looks at the fire, will be able to help us.
I agree. First, I am given our location. I will chance cutting through Geosius' farce to go to the prince, and possibly I will be able to speak with Geosius, because I originally gave Geosius the portents that we should come here, and I should let him know that we have a location on prey that needs to be rooted out.
He nods. I would be careful dealing with him as if you were dealing with a wolf. He is a fierce one, the beast. Or so they say. I have never seen him with my own eyes.
Yeah, his aura commands respect and demands fear. I will give it some of what it wants in both.
Not now, Zordon. Damn it, Zordon, I said not now. All right, Zordon, hold on. Yeah, sorry about that. But anyway, just as he mentions, having Janaki go and talk to some people, the guy from Gogo Bordello sticks his head in the tent flap with his gold tooth, and you recognize him from, you briefly saw him at the Elysium where the Bruja frenzied. And he sticks his head in and smiles, cousin, and other cousin.
I remember you. I will. I look to Agni first because it's not my place.
Agni is actually a god. His name is Anrit.
Oh, Anrit. Yeah, I look to Anrit.
Yes, I don't suppose I could prevent you even if I wished. And Janaki winks at him and comes inside. I overheard you telling our fine cousin here what a great reputation I have with the werewolves. And the Indian man looks back over at him and says, not apparently as great as Ragnar here. Your friends who are kin with the wolves, have them put his name to their ears, sing his praises for what a defender of the wilds he is, and perhaps they will recognize his name from the stories from the north and compound it with his recent deeds and your own endorsement, perhaps. And he looks over, and the dude's smiling with his big gold tooth. He says, of course, anything for a cousin, but it is very dangerous to be traveling these woods with Geosius afoot, is it not? And he looks over to you, Ragnar.
Ragnar will nod yes. Geosius is a barely tamed beast, and he.
Well, luckily for you, he is caged in the prince's castle.
Oh, yes.
Yes. Evidently, he ended the whip of the Tremir's life and attempted to end the prince's as well. He walked straight through the fire and through his table, and only through the half-assed attempt at security by Anacreon did he not succeed in his endeavor. He, last I heard, was laying in wait beneath the prince's castle, and from earlier tonight I heard whispers that perhaps the great beast stirs.
Well, then I will head there presently.
If you don't mind, I will accompany you. I wish to see these wolves myself.
Ragnar takes a second and looks around. Me thinks, I follow a certain way that is not that does not discuss their senses. Do you know, if I may ask, what way you follow?
I am a decent person to my fellow men, very compassionate, and always out to help the less fortunate.
If that is the case, then you may not offend them. I give it, even with my reputation, and I'll show them my mostly healed arm was attacked. So we must.
Quite skilled at staying unseen if things get hairy. Not everyone who is, it points at your neck, of the mother's blood is a fighter. Some of us are just strong as the earth.
I touched the vial. Apparently, I am less subtle than I had hoped to be.
Oh, well, you know, we are cousins. We do not hide anything from each other. And then the flames in the tent flare up just for a second and then go back to regular.
Ragnar will, one last thing, he will take the staff and he will hold it near.
It just glows blue.
Nope, he'll pull it back. I am fine for you to come with me then.
Ah, wonderful. Shall we take horses?
Yes.
All right. He whistles out the door and yells something in Romani or whatever they speak these days. Do you speak it?
No.
Okay, yeah. So he just yells something in like his bastard gypsy tongue, and two like shaggy men go off towards like some. What are those horses that have like cow patterns on them? You know what I'm talking about?
Palomino?
Yeah, he goes and gets like two big Palomino horses and throws quilts on them and like some barding. And then he yells something else, and they take him over to a tent where some guy is hitting a heated piece of metal on an anvil. And there's two kids you can see from across the way, like working bellows inside this tent. So apparently this dude is forging metal inside of like a cloth tent.
Seems safe.
Yeah, right? And they go and yell something to him, and he like motions for them to bring something over, and he yells something at the kids, and they go disperse after throwing like buckets of water onto the fire. And he starts to like re-shoe the horses for you guys.
Cool. Do you have any here? No, I will not. Can we stop on the way to feed? I will need to replenish someone.
Of course. And he like reaches into a satchel that's hanging off. He's basically not wearing a shirt, but he's got a pair of suspenders on holding up his pants, or like, you know, they're not exactly suspenders because I don't know if those were invented, but just like
they're certainly not, but yeah. But I know
yeah, he's got cloth straps that are holding his pants up that he just like has sewed on with buttons. and he's got like a messenger bag hanging off it, and he reaches into it and pulls out two very large, sagging water skins. I also come prepared. As long as we don't get into any scraps, this should keep us well fed and happy until we get there.
I'll nod to him. Thank you.
Of course. He puts them back into his satchel. I will leave you now. I have preparations to make, and I think perhaps I should put a shirt on.
The prince may or may not prefer it. I'm not sure.
Oh, I'm certain he wouldn't. He like flexes, but yeah, I will put one on anyway. I don't like to be ogled.
Of course.
He like runs off or whatever, and you're left with Amrit in the tent.
Well, Amrit, I can tell you this. I will leave you my map. I am familiar with these lands as of now, and I'll point to. I'll put a little mark on the paper. This is where that circle is roughly. The land is mine as gifted by the prince, so no one can stop you who is of the prince's domain. I can't account for anything else, but I can tell you, you have my blessing to do what you will on my lands.
Perhaps I will take my people and move them to those lands. There are not many of us, perhaps a dozen, but our cousin's lifestyle and our lifestyle vary very much. And I think that it would be, I think it would help my people to be a bit more isolated so that they can attend to their studies.
Jake, can you roll me one more vision?
Yeah. How many was it?
3, 4, 5, 8.
All right. I thought so. Two or three if you have a specialty.
I have a specialty in divination specifically, yeah.
All right, so you got three. What exactly were you trying to get a vision of? Or just any random vision?
Instead, what I'm doing this time is I'm holding the stones in my hand and leaking some blood into them. And the stones kind of magically soak up the blood, and then I will, let a stone fall from my hand, in the mountainous area, and I'm attempting to divine out something gold.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, with 3 successes, I'm going to put up a map, hold on. With 3 successes, you can get that up in the mountains in like... All right. Yeah, basically right there. See how it's like blurry around the sides? The part that's not blurry, that's where you get an impression of mountains. And like that green dot at the very bottom is your castle.
Okay, so to the north where like there's like some weird palmy tree things.
I'm going to just draw on it. Hold on. Basically, you get somewhere in like this range. There's probably some gold.
Okay. And Perfect. I'll take the time to like draw that on there.
Okay.
I will use a little paper and I will write down a letter to my men to continue fixing up the castle with stone from the area, like hauling stone and fixing up the castle. To let Amrit and his people stay in the castle also, and then for them to send a contingent. All of the warriors, no.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I'll have Amrit at the castle, so all of the warriors and all of them, like the mining crew, up there to go like start checking for gold in them their hills.
All right. How are you gonna send it?
I'm gonna give it.
You can get one of like the Ravnos to take it, or you can like maybe.
Oh, I'm gonna send it with Amrit.
Oh, with
Amrit.
Okay.
He's gonna go to the castle, and that's where all my dudes are.
All right, yeah. So he takes your letter or whatever. He'll give you like shit to write a letter if you want, sure. Or he will write it himself and have you sign it.
Yeah, either of those is fine. And then I let him know that he is welcome to stay at my castle. What of it is done, there's an area for kindred to stay from the sun. It is not It is not a luxurious castle, but for stoics like us, it is away from the hustle and bustle of life, and my men are dutiful and will not bother him.
Yes, and my people are industrious and no stranger to hard labor. We will lend all of our muscle where it can be, where we can. We will help with the reconstruction and any other menial labor that needs to be done. It is important to stay humble. And
He will nod.
Yeah, go ahead.
He will nod and say, your god is fire, and mine is wisdom and thunder. I know there's more to your god than that. I am a scholar of the ways of my own religion and others, but we are akin. You are the fire and heat, and I am the voice and warning. And together we will beat back what is coming.
He reaches out like an arm, and if you don't stop him, he like grabs your forearm in like a Roman style handshake.
Yeah, no, he'll totally
And
do that.
He'll just do that, and then like you guys will be like on a Rocky poster, and that'll be the scene.